Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is Pro Wrestling Weekly, the pro wrestling show we bring you as part of the upper tier offering. Of course, if you could go over to YouTube, smash that subscribe button, hit the bell notification button, and of course, drop a like on the video. This is our weekly show, brought forward a day early, as we mentioned last week as well. We do have an interview tomorrow night. Myself and Mark are going to be on at 9 o'clock interviewing Danny Pugh. So if you want to get your questions in for Danny, drop them into the comments on the show. It's already set up on there. If you want to pop into the chat and drop your questions in there, or you can ask them live in the chat tomorrow night as well. Should be a very interesting interview. Danny, who's a Manchester United Academy graduate, went on to Leeds and played for Stoke in the cup final against Man City and all that kind of good stuff. We'll have plenty of questions for Danny tomorrow night, and it should be a really interesting interview. Top lad. Really looking forward to it. And Mark on as well, so it'll be good. I think it's going to be Mark, actually, might be Mark's first interview on the channel as well, with a footballer. So that's going to be interesting as well, an interesting dynamic with the three of us. But tonight it's all about wrestling, as it always is. Pro Wrestling Weekly. We're going to have a quick look at Dynamite coming up, the Go Home Dynamite for All In coming up this weekend at Wembley. I'm not too sure on the latest on ticket sales. Last time I looked at it, there was over 50,000 sold. Some would say a better card than last year, even though last year apparently garnered about 20-odd thousand more ticket sales and stuff like that. But obviously with Punk on the card and stuff like that made a huge difference. But this year, a slightly different card. No doubt. So we'll go through the card for All In as well. We'll go through some of the matches anyway, and we'll get your thoughts on them, and you can give us some predictions if you're in the chat and all that kind of stuff. We're also going to be talking about some of these announcements that Tony Khan spoke about. You did ask for AEW content on the show, so we are going to give you AEW content. So Tony has made a few announcements and all. We're going to be talking about Texas and potentially Australia and all that kind of stuff as well. We're going to take a quick look back at Raw as well. And we're also going to be looking towards the Bash as well. Another match announced for the Bash. They're slow playing the announcements on the Bash at the moment and stuff coming to you next week as well. Don't forget, next week, folks, I will be away on holidays. Darren is away at the moment. So next week, there will be no live shows, but I do hope to drop some video content while I'm away. So I'll give you my reaction to AEW as soon as I see it and various things like that as well. So, keep an eye out for that. Make sure you have the bell notification hit, so then you'll know when these videos go up, because we won't be necessarily going live. And they won't be in any kind of time frame. It'll be whenever I get a chance during the week I am away. So just let you know about that. But before we start the show as well, we're also going to pay tribute and, of course, send our regards and our thoughts and our prayers to the Inoue family again. Afa, who sadly has passed away recently on the back of Sika passing away. So that's your wild Samoans basically wrapped up. Very, very sad. But no doubt back together again somewhere up there. No doubt tagging in and creating mayhem as they always did and stuff like that. So our thoughts and prayers go out to Afa and the Inoue family. Really sad times, and it's a generational thing there, really, and to lose these guys who were absolute icons of the family and stuff like that. So our thoughts and prayers go out to everyone, and the wider wrestling community as well, because we seen when Sika passed away as well, you know, how loved and thought of these people were and stuff like that. And also it affects everyone, not just the immediate family, but obviously our thoughts and prayers are with the immediate family and all that. So there you go. Afa, absolute legend. Right, we're also going to be asking you the question, and you can let us know your thoughts on this. Acer's in, first of all. R.I.P. Afa, yeah, absolutely. The new Hasbro sets do look cool, but a weird mix. Look at this Moonlighter in from holidays. God bless Afa and the whole Inoue family. Absolutely. Big up, my brother. How are you? I hope you're having a good time and enjoying it. Some of the pictures are absolutely fab. But we want to ask you tonight as well, folks, and we spoke about this on the show after SummerSlam. Talk this week coming out, a lot of the talk is, has WWE become too predictable? And we mentioned it during the SummerSlam review as well, where the show was quite predictable. We could predict a lot of the outcomes and all that, and most of them you would get right. But it didn't take away from how much we enjoyed it. Whereas in the past, when WWE has become heavily predictable, um, hasn't really hit those spots and stuff like that, really, and how we enjoy it and stuff like that and all. So just let us know your thoughts in the chat there, anyone who's in the chat. Has WWE become too predictable? And if it has it affected your way in which you're enjoying the product at the moment in any way? Let me know your thoughts. It was an interesting topic that was brought up the other day. So let me know your thoughts on it, and we'll come back to it later in the show. Right, so let's begin. I think we'll begin with Dynamite, and then we lead into All In, and then we'll talk about the other stuff. Pat McAfee and Sheamus in Temple Bar on Saturday afternoon. Oh Lord, can you imagine? So let's begin. Let's begin with Dynamite. So we got the Go Home Dynamite coming at us on Wednesday from Cardiff, no doubt, a place where myself and Darren, my partner on the Thursday Tier Talk, have frequented for wrestling, of course, for the first Clash of the Castle. And what a spot Cardiff is. But we're starting off. We got Claudio versus Okada, which is sure to be a grueler, to say the least. We got Tony Storm versus Saraya. We got Hook versus Big Bill. We got MJF Will Ospreay face to face, which no doubt is going to kick off and lead into it as well. And we've also got Chris Jericho versus Tom Billington. Tom Billington, the son of the late great Dynamite Kid, of course, and a guy who's very close, especially to Ian on Dynamo's Dozen, who you've seen on the shows and stuff like that. Ian will be quite close to the Billington family and quite close to Tom. So fantastic that Tom is being used in terms of this and stuff like that. And hopefully we may even see him maybe as part of the All In and stuff like that. And again, very, very clever in the way AEW are using these local people as well, especially these guys in that market and stuff like that. So let's see how that goes. And of course, being in there against Chris Jericho only makes for what should be a fun experience. And you're also going to get the final build up to All In London and stuff like that as well. So make sure you check that out. Also, make sure you check out, if you want Dynamo's Dozen on YouTube as well, you'll check out an interview that Ian did with Bronwyn, Dynamite Kid's daughter. She did an interview for Ian on Dynamo's Dozen. I'm not sure if I featured on that one or not. I'm not too sure. He did one. I think he did two as well. I think he did two with the ex-wife as well. And they both should be up there, and they were really, really fascinating. Bronwyn's an absolute star. And she gave a great interview and stuff like that. And she was talking a lot she couldn't give away, if I remember, with the first interview, because it was in the build up to the Dark Side of the Ring stuff, and then after that and stuff. So make sure you go check them out as well. Really, really good interviews from Ian on Dynamite, on Dynamo's Dozen. Ian's in. Unfortunately, Ian can't be on the chat, but you do have REGGRUSSELL Reggie Russell, folks. James is in. Big up James Carl. I've been enjoying WWE and then AEW at least. With WWE, there's a better build-up of story. Yeah, absolutely. Big up James. Good to see you, man. Thanks for joining us in the chat. Acers, ESPN live in Dublin this weekend for College Gameplay live from Temple Bar with Pat McAfee and Sheamus. Tell you, that could be the place to be. Keith is in. What's the crack, Niall, with AEW going for another big show again in England? Do you think this has pushed WWE to get them to have one of their big pay-per-view shows in England, the likes of a WrestleMania? I don't think it is, Keith. I'll tell you what it is. I think WWE basically just sailed their own ship. And I know they've put out shows there as well to go up against AEW, and we'll look at that with that. I think there's the Christmas ones on the 28th of December where they go head-to-head and stuff like that. But WWE is talking about bringing WrestleMania to London and stuff like that. What a massive event that would be, you know. But we'll see. I'm not too sure. I think sometimes it might be a little bit planned and a little bit contrived, but other times I think it's just coincidence, to be honest, because I think WWE right now are at the peak of their powers, really, and stuff like that, and they don't really need to be looking over their shoulder, you know. And you look at AEW at times for a lot of the good stuff they do and stuff like that as well. A lot of it gets unraveled just by their own doing. They don't even need someone else to be doing it. This is not, sometimes I describe it as not like the Monday Night Wars with WCW. This is a situation where AEW sometimes do more damage to themselves than what WWE would ever do to them and stuff like that. So, but we're going to look at some of that stuff. We're going to be talking about AEW tonight, folks, because we do want to put it in there, especially in the build up to this big show this weekend coming up. So, absolutely. Good man, Keith. James, I hope the God Soraya is going to be at All In, man. Only reason I'm going to. She's definitely going to be there. Definitely going to be there. All In will be decent pay-per-view. Yeah, I think so. Let me know your thoughts, folks, as well, once we get through it as well. When we get on to All In, let me know your thoughts. I think this is a stronger card than last year. That's my thoughts. And although it's not pulling the numbers, there's various reasons for that as well. The AEW product has been going through a bit of a transition, a bit of hit and miss and all that kind of stuff. But also, obviously, not having Punk and possibly, Edge not being there, Adam Copeland, I should say, not being there either. So they've lost some of these big guys as well. I'm not sure whether Omega's going to be there either. And also, they have a lot of big stars there at the moment that are out that would draw in people that are just simply not going to be there. And this this is the upshot of it. But selling over 50,000 tickets, and I don't know where it's at the moment. I know tickets are still available, folks, as well. I think somewhere in the region of £20 to £30 for a ticket, which is an absolute steal to go see any wrestling show in Wembley or to see anything in Wembley for 20 to 30 quid is an absolute steal. And if you have an opportunity, take advantage. I was over there a month and a half ago. I seen AC/DC in Wembley, not for 30 quid now, but to experience Wembley, and obviously wrestling would be fantastic as well, but to experience AC/DC over there was something special. Ricochet will debut at All In after MJF retains American Championship. Gotta say, Pat McAfee has really put Mitchell Cole over. Sorry, I mean Michael Cole over. Yeah, absolutely. We're going to be talking about that as well. Interesting take on that as well as we push towards the Netflix deal and how is that gonna not only affect, we've spoken about at times how it will affect the performers and how far they will be able to push it and all that kind of stuff. But not only that, how will it affect the commentary? You know what I mean? We'll talk about it later. Lots of talk about McAfee be back in the hot seat for that launch on Netflix. And he'll be dropping F-bombs, no doubt, to beat the band. So let's see where that goes. And let's see what your thoughts on it. If they overkill it, is it going to be too much? Whereas then it just becomes the norm as opposed to being, oh my God. So let me know your thoughts on that as well. Right. So that's your Dynamite go home. I haven't looked at Collision yet, obviously. But the big one for me, obviously, really looking forward to seeing Jericho versus Tom Billington. I want to see Tom wrestle as well and stuff like that and all. So that's going to be really, really cool. So, we're tuning in or catching it on the replay to see that alone. Right. Let's talk All In. When we talk about All In, you've got MJF versus Ospreay. Let me know your predictions as well, folks. Don't want to go through the whole card because these whole cards are like. We'll be doing that when we do the review. I'm not too sure what way this card is going to kind of, go and somewhat. There's lots of other really good matches on it as well, but we can only focus on so many. So I picked out some of the ones that are kind of kicking there at the moment. Jack Perry versus Darby Allin, and I seen a video of Jack Perry changing that TNT title and stuff like that. Was pretty cool and stuff like that. Obviously, a lot of traction at the moment with Tony Storm and Mariah May. Very, very interesting as well. I think Danielson versus Swerve is going to be exceptional. We've seen, over the last year or so, Bryan Danielson has been putting out some of his best work, and he's been working through injury and stuff like that as well. But he's been putting out some exceptional stuff, We've got Mercedes Moné, the CEO, going up against the Doc, Britt Baker. Do we foresee a title change there? Could that possibly happen? I don't think it will. There's a lot of background there at the moment in relation to Britt Baker and stuff that went on in the locker rooms and all that other heated shit that's going on and has been coming out. So I'm not sure whether that title change is going to happen. Prior to that, I'm not even sure it was going to happen anyway. But it'll be interesting to see how the match goes and how it's received. Going to be very interesting as well to see how Mercedes Moné is received in England and Wembley as well. And who knows? Who knows? It's just the time. The CEO should be all about business. And would it be good business to drop the title to Britt Baker. Let me know your thoughts. And we've got MJF versus Ospreay, which is absolutely going to be electric and knock it out of the park as well. And there's a whole host of other good stuff as well. So let me know your picks for what's there. The 5 matches that are there. Let me know your picks. What are you thinking? Does Tony retain, or is it Mariah May's time now? Is it Darby's time coming back against Jack Perry? Could Danielson beat Swerve? Who's going to come out on top? Will it be Ospreay? Will it be MJF? Certainly going to be very interesting. Going to be a stellar match. Let us know what your picks are. Aces is in. He's gone. Swerve Strickland will retain. Jack Perry will retain. The CEO retains. And then the Hurt Business might debut either here or at All Out. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if there's any debuts. You mentioned Ricochet there as well and stuff like that. So it's all been a little bit quiet and stuff like that and all. So we'll see what way that goes as well. But there's going to be plenty on offer. It's going to be a stacked card. It's going to be a long show as well as they normally put on. But certainly moving into All In this Sunday, August the 25th. Check it out. If you can't get to it, try and get to it, because wrestling in Wembley is just different gravy altogether. Let's talk, Keith. I was talking to Dave the other day, and nothing thing. MJF might jump over to WWE in 2026. Just have a funny feeling. I don't know. I wonder will WWE in this Netflix era that they're going to enter, will it become a more will wrestlers want to go there more because there's probably going to be a bit more creative freedom and license to be who you want to be and all that kind of stuff. And also, will it become more appealing to wrestlers? That's going to be interesting. I think the Netflix thing could be a watershed thing. But let's see how it goes and stuff. Right, so let's talk about some of these announcements and something that they alluded to. So we got All In is heading to Texas to the Globe Life Field. Now, there's no doubt if you look at the way Wembley is gone, and obviously with WWE making soundings about potentially WrestleMania going to London, that would be absolutely massive, and it would be WWE kind of moving back into that historical territory in Britain that they had before there with shows and stuff like that. And of course, they run multiple shows there and the house show circuits and all that stuff in the O2 Arena and stuff constantly and stuff like that. But All In's going to Texas, going to Arlington. This is going to be an interesting market for them. I heard Jim Cornette on his podcast the other day talking about how any living Von Erich will probably be on the show and stuff like that and all. But it's an interesting move because the move into this as well. I heard Brian Last as well on the show talking with Jim Cornette about how Forbidden Door affects this as well and doesn't necessarily hit the straps. And would you drop Forbidden Door? So you're moving into the show in a more positive manner because Forbidden Door can kind of disjoint it a little bit and stuff like that. But there's also whispers at the moment as well that they potentially do Australia. Now, I wonder how strong the Australian market would be for AEW. That would probably take quite a lot. And they need to be so careful at the moment as well because, they're working through a situation at the moment. There's a lot of top stars are out injured. There's a lot going on in AEW. There's certain things that we can be excited about and interested in. There's a lot of stuff doesn't catch our imagination for many reasons, potentially storytelling, leading us in, these one-shot wonder things and all this kind of stuff. And of course, the way so many announcements in it are built up and then they just crash against the rocks like the tide. And don't really be big announcements. So Texas, this is a big announcement for me. And I think this is them moving in there because they know WWE is coming across the water in a strong way in Europe. We've seen it, Bash in Berlin, Backlash in France, all these different things, Money in the Bank in London. So TKO and WWE, certainly they're moving into Europe and stuff like that and to strangle that market some way is big. So it's difficult for AEW. It's also going to be interesting to see how Dynamite is received in Cardiff and Collision as well and see how that goes as well. That could be interesting as well. But certainly these are interesting moves. I do still think they'll have a lot on their hands to do these things. I think I looked at that Globe Life field. I think it holds about 40,000 people as well. So that's going to take a bit to do that. And of course, having certain people in there from the Texas region and stuff like that would greatly help it as well. The Von Erichs down there in that territory still carry somewhat weight down there as well, Kevin. But Australia would be, if it's the case, and again, it's only out there in the ether, nothing's confirmed, but there is talk of it. But that would be a very interesting move. We've seen how good WWE doing down there. They were down there earlier in the year with Elimination Chamber, I think it was, and it'll be interesting to see what AEW do down there and what that market is like for them. I think that would be a tough nut to crack, but we'll see. You're in America for United versus Liverpool game. I'm not going to America. I'm going to Spain, Acers. I'm not going to America until after Christmas. So I'm not going to Florida in the summer. I'm going to Spain just for a week, just to pump up the vitamin D and get the body recharged again, basically. So yeah, so I'm on the. I'll be here for United Liverpool. Don't worry about that. I'm actually back that day. Actually, I think I fly back in, and I get back in about 2:30, and I think the match is at 4:30. Actually, yeah. So you never know. You might even get a match reaction. Let's see. It would be pretty cool if you did a full episode about WWE going to Netflix and talking about pros and cons, moving over to Netflix. Great suggestion, Keith. We will do it. There's no doubt there's going to be a lot of build up to this until the launch and stuff like that. WWE are brilliant at this stuff as well. So as that starts to happen and as we get closer to it, we will definitely do a show on it and get everyone's thoughts on it and stuff like that as well. And remember, folks out there, especially in the chat as well, if you ever want to come on, if you want to be part of a show, if you want to get on the screen, show your mush, all that kind of stuff, just hit me up and let me know. It's never a problem if anyone wants to come on, Let's look back then at Raw. We'll take a quick look at Raw. So here's some of your results, of course. Sheamus defeating Pete Dunne. Of course, we got a lot of the hokey kind of build up stuff, of course, that goes into Bash at the Beach and stuff like that. We had the Punk and the Punk Drew kind of stuff. We had the Randy Gunther kind of stuff and all that thing. But Sheamus defeated Pete Dunne by pinfall with a bro kick. Ivan Niall versus Maxine Dupree was a kind of a no contest. Nikki Cross showed up and went on the attack. New Day and Odyssey Jones were not too sure about that as well. Xavier kind of beginning to accept it, but kind of not really as well. Defeated the Final Testament, went by pinfall with a Bossman slam from Jones. Bronson Reed going from strength to strength defeats the Miz by pinfall with the 747 splash. And of course, next week, talking about Worlds Collide, we're going to get Braun Strowman versus Bronson Reed, which is going to be monstrous. We're also getting that match that's being teased. We've seen the attack in there on Chad Gable. So next week, we're getting Uncle Howdy versus Chad Gable, which should be interesting. We also had the Attack the Judgment Day taking out Rhea and Damian Priest. I think they're called the Terror Twins now or something like that. Also, Damage Control. This was an interesting one, this tag match. Going into this tag match, no one expected the Unholy Union to retain because everyone thought it was kind of just a nice touch, a clash at the castle. This is why the girls got the belts. And all the background story to it and everything and the tragedy and all that kind of stuff. But that's not the case. Retained last night against strong opposition. You had, of course, Pure Fusion Collective. You had Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark. You also had Damage Control in there, Io Sky and Kairi Sane. And it was quite a high level match and stuff like that as well. It was interesting to see some of the moves and some of the recoveries in there as well were interesting. But go check that one out. Well worth a look. And then we had Randy Orton defeating Ludwig Kaiser by pinfall with the RKO. Kind of a wrap-up from. We also had up there in the top corner, just to show you there, Ruthless Robbie Lawler was there at Raw. And we're seeing a lot of this now. We're seeing a lot of these guys, UFC guys and ex-UFC, legends, rocking up on Raw and various things like that and all. And we're really... You can see the way wrestling is kind of morphing into that kind of UFC thing where you have legends there and all that. We seen it last week. Mark Henry was there with the son and Candice Michelle was there, to name but a few. But Ruthless Robbie Lawler was there. Little story about that. Myself and Dino, we were over with the lads WrestleMania 35. We were walking up Midtown Manhattan, and who was walking along the road? Rootless Robbie Lawler. We stopped him for a few pics and have a chat. Absolute gentleman. Answered all our questions, had a bit of crack, took loads of photos. Absolute gentleman to me. So shout out to Rootless Robbie Lawler, and it was nice to see him there last night. We're also getting this intercontinental kind of tournament thing is taking off as well, so that should be interesting as well to see what way that goes with Braun Breaker there holding the belt. So a little teaser for next week, plus a quick little recap of what happened this week. Let us know your thoughts as well. If you've seen Raw, what was your thoughts on Raw? And how did you feel about it? I lost your number, Niall, to hit you up for going on the show. Dale, just hit me up on Twitter. The Upper Tier Podcast on Twitter. You'll get me there. It's the Upper Tier everywhere, mate. You'll get me Upper Tier on Instagram. You'll get me Wrestling Mania Dublin on Instagram. You can email me, the Upper Tier Podcast at gmail.com. Whatever you want, drop me your number, Keith. We'll sort it out, pal. You're welcome to come on anytime you want. Keith's an OG. Someone from the New Day will turn heel. Yeah, we know who it's going to be as well, don't we? I just don't know what way it's going to land. It's going to be interesting. Again, folks, just we mentioned it earlier in the show as well. Has WWE become too predictable? And if it has, if you feel it has, or if you feel it hasn't, does it affect how you feel about the product? Now, I just mentioned it earlier in the show as well, but when we were on doing the SummerSlam review, we mentioned how predictable some of the outcomes had become, but it didn't take away from the quality of the show or the quality of the matches. Still very, very enjoyable, even though you know potentially what the outcomes might have been. So let me know your thoughts on that. Could it get to a stage where it becomes a bit monotonous and predictable to the point where you're not necessarily enjoying it as much as you are? But let me know your thoughts on that. I did mention there was a clash. So World's End, Saturday, December the 28th in Orlando. Both running in Orlando, actually. So very, very interesting. And we got WWE Holiday Tour also in Orlando on the same night. So we got World's End and and WWE, not too far away. Both running in Orlando, Saturday, December the 28th. Is it contrived? Is it coincidence? Is it Hunter shooting across the bow? Let me know what your thoughts are on it. It's a WWE Live Holiday Tour. I'd say they just put the tour out and they pick these dates and these venues and stuff like that, and they probably don't even cross-reference the AEW around like that. So, but there you go. That's the one that's clashing at the moment. But it'll be interesting to see if this develops more and we get more of it. But there you go. That could affect ticket sales. Also, we said we'd mention this one as well. These two boys have been absolutely electric, knocking it out of the park. Michael Cole, well, what can I say? Unbelievable. And hasn't always been everyone's flavour, but knocking it out of the park. And obviously with his dance partner there, McAfee, who is just absolute different gravy on absolute different level. Guy is a nutcase. He's a showman himself, a performer and everything else, and brings such a flavour to that commentary and stuff like that. So obviously both these guys are going to reunite for this Netflix launch back in January. We know Pat at this time of year goes off and he covers football and various other things on ESPN and stuff like that. And then he comes back in again. But certainly it's felt when he's not there. And certainly himself and Cole have created such a great dynamic together as well, because Cole is so educated about the product in the way that he commentates and stuff like that. And McAfee is just out there on a different planet, but somehow they pull it together and they create this fantastic tandem and relationship when they're on commentary. So really looking forward to the way this goes and how it's going to go on Netflix. And just is our expectation of it going on Netflix? How loose is it going to get? I've seen a talk today on this about how McAfee might be out there dropping F-bombs and all this kind of stuff and all. But, I think WWE are cleverer than that in the way they're going to do it. It's certainly there will be a little bit of that going on. But WWE are still also conscious as well that there's a huge market out there for let's say, the younger generation that generates a number of revenue streams as well. But certainly you've seen over the last number of years, and certainly since Vince has stepped out of the picture, there is certainly a loosening of the straps there and stuff like that, and more loosening of that through Netflix will garner great stuff, I think, in the future. Now, what else have we got here? Let's talk about the Bash. Got to talk about the Bash. More or less the same as last week. Not a massive change. The only one that's changed up really in the top right corner. You can't see it there because I have the lovely girls from All In us up there in the thumbnail, as they say. But added to it, we have Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk in a strap match. Certainly a very, very strong card building there, and still plenty, I imagine, to come out of SmackDown as well. No, then we're going to have sort of bloodline sort of feels to this as well. But we got Cody versus Kevin that we spoke about last week. Interesting dynamic there as well. The mixed tag is going to be very interesting. I firmly believe we're on the road to a Rhea versus Dominic match, a la China and Eddie. And I think it's coming, and it's going to be really, really interesting when it happens. And be really interesting to see what the reaction is and get people's thoughts on it as well. But I think Rhea's just dying to mix it up there with Dominic and stuff like that and all, while still keeping an eye on Liv on the belt as well. We got Gunther versus Randy, which is developing nicely. That's going to be hard hitting and stuff like that. Again, we still have plenty of time to go. SmackDown might deliver something. We'll have to go home Raw. We've seen some of the matches that are there. And then we'll also have the SmackDown on the Friday night prior to Bash in Berlin. So yeah, shaping up, still plenty of time, well over guts of a week and a half now at this stage before we go near Bash in Berlin, maybe a little bit more. So still plenty of matches, no doubt, to be added. You're at least going to get 2, maybe plus a match or 2 as well. Where are we? Dazzler running amok on a Monday night on Raw. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Stature update from Bash. Matches are kind of being a little bit slow played and stuff like that as well. But we will see how it all kind of pans out as they start adding more stuff to it. Right, let's take a little bit of history. Because we've kind of raced through that. And again, keep on letting us know your thoughts in the chat. On WWE becoming too predictable. What's your thoughts on All In? How do you feel about the card? All these kind of things, okay? But we'll start off, bit of history here first anyway. 1995, IWA Japan presented the Kawasaki Dream event in the Kawasaki, Japan. The match featured the infamous King of the Deathmatch tournament. Of course, we all know the King of the Deathmatch tournament. The final saw Cactus Jack defeat Terry Funk in no ropes, exploding barbed wire, exploding ring time bomb match. Absolute crazy carnage stuff. The kind of stuff that shortens lives and very much shortens careers. And not the kind of thing you would probably see this day and age in your general viewing anyway. 1979, Dusty Rhodes defeated Harley Race to win his first NWA World Heavyweight title in Tampa, Florida. He would hold the belt only 5 days before losing it back to Harley Race. We know how much Harley Race had a stranglehold on that NWA for such a long time. And what a performer. 2000, Lita defeated Stephanie McMahon Helmsley to win the WWE Women's title. This match was the first time in history that a women's match main evented Monday Night Raw. There we go. 2005, WWE Champion John Cena defeated Chris Jericho in a You're Fired match. This will be Jericho's last appearance in WWE until his return in November 2007. It was around that time he went off and started really developing the band Fozzy and all that kind of stuff. It was in that period that we had his appearance in the shop and all, his meet and greet and all that stuff. And we were selling the tickets for the Fozzy gig, and we were looking after Jericho during that time. The concert was in the Voodoo Lounge, and I'm sure if Will is tuning in or any of the boys, we'd some crack that day. I should have some pictures somewhere of us all with Jericho in the shop. And remember it well, we all went down to the Voodoo Lounge. I think Trish was there as well. Will had no Trish. A good friend of his who comes into the shop as well. She was in me there about a month or two ago, catching up. So there you go. So I was around that time. Good times for us in wrestling. 2009, CM Punk fought and defeated Jeff Hardy in a TLC match for the WWE Championship at WWE SummerSlam. Keith, I don't mind a small bit of predictability in WWE, but I think a lot of fans nowadays are so clued into the backstage stuff and whatever else is going on to know the outcome of the matches. That's true. We've more information than we've ever had now, so they rarely startle us unless it's with someone showing up and stuff like that. But again, still very, very enjoyable. I would like for this new WWE to keep us on our toes and not fall back into the old habits they had under Vince. Don't think that's going to happen. Don't think that's going to happen. Acer, Zack Sabre Jr. won the G1 Climax 34 tournament. And 14th of October, Royal Request London Wembley Arena IWGP, the championship NATO. Yeah. Zack Sabre Jr. What a wrestler. What a technician. What a technician. 1997, founder member of the Four Horsemen, Arn Anderson, formally announces his retirement from the ring. Unlike many wrestling retirements, Anderson never wrestled another match after this date. The Enforcer, absolutely so unlucky with that injury as well. But what a mind for the business. And we seen it only a short time ago in SummerSlam. That moment with Cody to be savoured and stuff like that. The Enforcer truly has a great mind for the business, and I thought it was crazy the way AEW let him exit the building, the knowledge that guy has and his mind for the business and everything else. Absolutely worth his weight in gold. And great to see him back in WWE. Right, some notable birthdays. So we start off 1973, Lillian Garcia. 1986, Pac. 1984, Eve Torres. 1981, Trent Seven, the man that was on the tour only the week before last, I think it was, with OTT. He was the champion. Had a stellar setup between the build-ups and the match with Barry. Nathan Jones, 1969. One of the greatest managers in my time, Paul Ellering, 1953. Jimmy and Jay Uso, 1985. The Usos, quality. Apollo Crews, 1987. Of course, a man that we've spoken about in recent times as well, the Rockstar, Rocky Johnson, 1944. A man, should we mention his birthday this week, 1945, one Vincent Kennedy McMahon. 1981, shout out to our local boy here. I live bar 10 minutes from his family home. One Finn Balor. And of course, little Petey Pump, 1981, Petey Williams, the master of the Canadian Destroyer. Loved Petey Williams, especially back that run in TNA with Team Canada and stuff like that. No, what a legend. That rounds out your notable birthdays for this week as well, folks. So that's really it. Nothing else to add. Just to let you know, I will be back tomorrow night with Mark, 9 o'clock, Danny Pugh interview. Give it all the support you can, folks, and make sure you're on asking the questions. Just investigate it a little bit and stuff like that. He spent a bit of time with a number of clubs and stuff like that. Was under Tony Pulis for the FA Cup final at Stoke and all that kind of stuff. So bit of history there as well. So get your questions in for Danny. We want to do more of these interviews going forward as well, because we love reflecting back and also seeing, how it settles this day and age. But also then Thursday, I will be back with Thursday Tier Talk, flying solo. So if anyone wants to join me that night as well, I will be flying solo. You'll get your Premier League preview, you'll get your Beat the Bookie, you'll get your latest news, all that kind of stuff. Darren's away on holidays, so I will be covering for that. And then sometime on Friday, we'll probably drop a video for a Brentford preview. And then you might get a Brentford reaction maybe when I'm over in Spain, if I get a minute, let's see. Then everything else will be kind of up in the air next week. No real live shows as such. So it'll be just me doing little short videos and stuff like that. I'll give you a reaction to the Premier League and all that kind of stuff we normally do in the mashup. We'll give Marky a week off, and Darren will be still on holidays anyway. And then the following week, we'll be back with a bang. All the shows will be back live and stuff like that as well. But make sure you're subscribing to the channel. Make sure you're hitting that bell notification, so even when I drop the videos, that you see the videos going up there as well. And also a like on the video. Always very important. Like on the video. So important. Even on the way out, even on the replay, whatever it is, these things are really, really important to us to grow the channel this season. Enjoy the holiday. Have a good one, bro. I'll do my best, pal. I'll do my best. Do you think H will take the Hall of Fame a lot more seriously from now on? Over the last while, it's become a bit of a joke over the few years. Yeah, possibly. I think you'll probably see maybe more realistic stuff going in there and stuff like that and all, But it'd be interesting to see if there's any kind of crossover as well, you know what I mean? Who knows? Let's see what happens. Yeah, I think he probably will. I mean, Hall of Fame is such a difficult one as well, isn't it? Because in any given class, you're gonna get stellar ones that stand out, and then you're gonna get other ones that come in as well, but stand out to other people in a different way and stuff like that. So you'll always get big ones in there like the Undertaker and that kind of thing. So let's see what way it goes, but I'm sure they'll have ideas on it. And as Ian said, as we are over and out, folks. So listen, folks, have a safe week. Enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy the rest of the shows as well. We're literally podcasting every day this week as well. So make sure you're showing your full support and showing your support if there's any of the channels in there and stuff like that as well. I know Daz Reynolds was busy tonight. He always gives me wrestling content and stuff like that. He was busy with football and stuff like that and all. And I sent out the links to a few people, but they were obviously too busy, so it's not a problem at all. You know how I can do these shows solo as well. It's not an issue. But until next time, folks, I'll talk to you again real soon.